Welcome to the Don't You Worry podcast. We're your hosts, Briley and Britton Caldwell, and we're here to say, don't you worry, through stories, encouragement, and joy. Be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. So sit back, relax, and enjoy today's conversation. Welcome back to the Don't You Worry podcast. It's your favorite hosts, Briley and Britton, and we've got another great episode for you guys today. Yes, we've been talking about a book that we had read called A Crown That Lasts by Demi Tebow. For any of our girls, this is a great story. It's really just like you're having coffee with Demi. Like that's the vibe that I get from it. But it was an incredible story, and we haven't been just reading straight out of the book for you guys, but there were so many good concepts that we've been talking about, confidence and living in the moment. And today we're going to talk about how your past is shaping you. So this book is all about your identity and how you are not your label. There is a deeper identity that you have other than when you strip away all of the labels that you have, who really are you. So today we're going to talk about how your past experiences and the people that you've grown up with, people that you've interacted with, places you've been around, all of that shapes you in a certain way, right? Right. So even today, the 5 people you're around, you've probably heard this before, but the 5 people you're around ends up being who you are, you know? Like that's not really, you are different, but look at your 5 closest friends and you'll see how you're going to turn out, you know? Which is kind of a big moment that you're thinking, okay, well, if maybe I don't want to be like this person, then you might have to change some things around. Not that you shouldn't interact with other people, right? You know what I mean?
But who are you letting influence you? Yeah.
Right. So that's a big deal. But also places you've grown up. We had grown up in the same place all of our lives. So that had shaped the people we were around. We just knew where we were at. And then when we moved, we realized there's a whole other world out here. So like the places impact you too, and unexpected things. But the reason that you do everything, there is a reason for everything you do. So like the things that you do, the people, the way you interact with people, how you act, there's an underlying topic and reason for all of that. So just to start on like an easy topic, like why do you dance? Because that's a big part of your life.
I know I've said a lot of like surface level answers for that question, but when I really looked into it, when I found out we were doing this episode, I kind of looked at the different areas of my life and I really honed in on, okay, why do I seriously do this? And so for dancing, I really do it, and I almost quit dancing a few years ago, and it was a really stressful thing. And before recital, I always get spazzed out because I'm all anxious and I want to get everything perfect and I want everything to go well. So I was talking to both of our parents and I was like, I don't want to dance anymore. This is awful. This is terrible. But I remember mom and dad both told me, they said every time you walk out of that dance class, no matter how I send you in, no matter how frustrated you are, mad, you're upset, anxious, whatever it is, you always walk out of there with a smile on your face. And I think it's because it's an outlet for me to get my body moving, get physically, but I'm also focused in on it. And it's something that I am truly all in whenever I'm there. And I'm really focusing in on moving my body, but moving it correctly, stretching it. And it's something that I enjoy. It's something that I like to do, you know, all of the different styles and things that you can do with dancing, you know, you do more specific rather than just like, hey, you know, just dancing goofy with your friends. So I think that's truly why I dance. It's because it does put me in a better mood for the rest of my day.
Right. And since you've had those experiences where every time you walk out of the class joyful, it makes you want to come back to it.
Right.
Even when it may be stressful and you have there's a lot to remember in dance. I mean, I see the work that you put in behind the scenes, but there's so much joy when you come out of each one. So I think that's why you keep going back to it. And that shapes the reason you keep coming back.
Right.
And another thing, you read a lot. So like, why do you read?
I've not always read like I do now, but I have always like had books, you know, mom and dad have always bought us books, you know, people have bought us books for Christmas. And so I've read books for a while. And recently I've realized that it's kind of a reality break, honestly, especially with starting high school and all of the middle school crazy years. Everything in this season of life is so drama. It's all insane. I get very anxious easily about like school and like I overwhelm myself personally. And especially during the school year, then I'm constantly focused on all of these things in classes. I'm learning more stuff on like math, English, science, all of these concepts of the 4 like core classes of school. And when I get home and when I get to be able to read, and if I'm in like a story that is interesting to me, it's just a way for me to relax my body. And if I'm really stressed out or anxious, or I'm really like, my mind is going 1,000 miles an hour. So then I can just read and just calm myself down and relax and just be all in the story. And then I can come back and like deal with those feelings, and I can more calmly approach all of the aspects of my life. So it's really just a break from the usual like world, honestly.
Right.
Like, because when you get into a good story, or when you're watching a show or something, you're all in, focused, and you're like a part of it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You love stories, because even like movies and shows sometimes too. If there's a good story involved, Britton is hooked.
I'm binging it.
And also, like, she'll read through things and watch shows way faster than I do. Any storyline, once you get hooked, you're like, yeah, I'm on season 6, I'm on book 7, and I'm like, I literally read that in like 2 years. It did not go that fast at all. But anyway, so you do a lot of those things for a reason.
Right.
And for example, I lead worship a lot. I got a guitar for Christmas, I don't know how many years ago, like when I was younger. And I was like, oh, this is so good. And then I genuinely gave up. I was like, this hurts my fingers. I don't want to do it. I had no passion for it at all.
Yeah.
And once one of our friends, actually, she went off to college, and we were like, who's going to lead worship on Wednesday nights? I was like, I could take up guitar again. Like, I think I can figure out some things how to do it. So I taught myself like the main chords. I'm not professional. I need to get a lot better. But I taught myself the chords, and I have grown up listening to worship music. Since I was a baby, our parents have played all the things. Toby Mac was one of our favorites growing up. I used to love Francesca Battistelli, Jamie Grace, all of the artists. All of the artists that if you grew up listening to Christian music or Christmas music. I love that too.
They're the same.
They're the same. But they bring me a lot of joy. But growing up, I've listened to a lot of that. So I knew a lot of worship songs growing up. I grew up with Hillsong and all the things. But now there's so much more even in worship music that I just wanted to dive into. And I've had moments where I've realized over the last few years what it looks like to freely worship. We talked about multiple times at summer camp the song Free, where it talks about who the sun sets free is free indeed. I'm not afraid to say I'm free. And it's just a constant, I've learned in worship so much now. It means so much to me to just be free and say, God, I don't deserve any of this, but you've given it all to me. You are the reason I'm alive. So I'm just going to freely worship you. And that's been such a big part of my story. I love the worship settings I've gotten to be in over the last few years. I've loved just being able to express myself through song, because both of us have been singing since we were born.
Yeah.
I mean, we had those karaoke machines when we were little and would put on a performance for all of our stuffed animals when we were like 5 years old.
Because I mean, with worship too, you don't just worship, like you're leading worship, and it's not that you're worshiping for the other people.
Yeah.
But even like people have come up to you and they say like your face is just so bright when you're on that stage, like you're just glowing, you're excited, you're in the moment, and that makes them want to worship more, and then makes them want to worship more freely.
Right.
So like that's a part of
which is my
why
goal,
you do
because
it.
I don't want anyone to be like, oh, I just love watching you worship. I don't want people to be like, I love the way you sound. Like, I want to point that all back to God, even in the selfish moments where I'm like, wow, that sounded good. Like I have to be like, God, no, that's not me. That's all you coming through me. So again, all these things growing up and recently over the last few years have shaped the way I view worship, which is why it means so much to me. And that's kind of the whole thing we're diving into today. Everything you're doing, there is a purpose behind it. So then that can also be different things. So big events going on in our life. For me, just to name a few, when I got saved when I was 8 years old, that was a huge part of my life, has shaped me since today. It's the reason that we do what we do. And we lost our grandfather. I had never experienced grief, and that taught me a big thing about living eternally, living in eternal...
in an eternal perspective.
Like, yes, that's what I'm looking for. Because I had always known people that had lost people, and I had lost distant relatives, but it never really shook me to realize, wow, I didn't know this was going to happen. Like, I have to live in the moment right now, which is what we talked about in the last episode. So it shifted my perspective a lot going through that, and that shaped me. And moving schools, moving churches has been such a huge impact on both of our lives. I mean, if you had gone back and told us where we would be at now, we would not believe you, because we may not want to admit it all the time, but we were so anxious about moving. I mean, we first figured out we were moving churches, and I was like, that's great, because I want to be in a youth group. I had this desire. We had a season after our dad has worked at multiple churches in the past, so we had been through different changes in different churches, but we had always been in the same school system, same general area. There was a season, though, where we were still going to the same school, but we were not plugged into a church, because we were trying to figure out where we were going, and he was still a part of a ministry, but not directly through one church. It was a lot of churches that he was counseling, and we were doing different things like that. So we weren't plugged into one specific youth group. And that was hard on me. I didn't realize how hard it was going to be, but I had just gotten into middle school and was so excited about being a part of one specific student group that then I wanted that so bad. So when he told us we were moving where we are now, the first thing I was saying was, I want to be a part of a group. I want this community in this church. I want it so bad, but I also don't want to change. I don't want to have to move new schools. Not because I kept saying, oh, I don't want to leave everybody here, because yes, I did, but also I was scared that I wasn't going to have anybody in the future. I still keep up with people that I'm going to go see some friends today that I used to be friends with in our last school, but there were so many fears that was keeping me from that. I was like, I just don't know where it's going to go, so I don't know how I'm going to do. But once we actually finally made that choice and our family did move, and we were in this scenario of moving schools, moving churches, it was the greatest thing ever, which is why that shaped me so much into who I am today. One, to not be too scared of change, because you don't know how it's going to turn out. I mean, yes, it may be frightening, but there's so much to come. And it also shaped how I view the youth group we're a part of right now. We're a part of a student group that may be small, but I really want it to grow, and I really want to put everything into it, because I'm so grateful for those people that can lift me up and I know will be there. I mean, there's multiple girls in the group that I can text at any point and be like, hey, pray for me for this, or hey, this thing is going on, I need you to help me out here. And any of them would drop everything and be like, yeah, I'll help you right now, you know? So I have such a grateful perspective on that right now. And I think that's how that big life change of moving has shaped me today. I just see the things right now that I'm so much more grateful for.
Yeah, I think moving for me, I realized we were moving, and I found out probably halfway through my 7th grade year. And when I found out, I didn't really want to tell a lot of people, and I told my best friend, and then I told a couple of my teachers, whatever. And I had those moments. I had one moment where my best friend literally we broke down crying together, because we were really close. But I realized not a lot of other people were they were like, oh yeah, I'll miss you. But I realized I didn't really have deep friendships, and that was not on them, that was on me, because I didn't really care that much. I was comfortable where I was, and I started I've always been such a big introvert, until you get me talking, and then I'll yap for hours. But normally I'm so introverted, and so at dance, I never used to talk to those girls that much. I just showed up to dance, to do my thing, to have a few conversations, and really observe the other conversations, because it's you have so many different personalities. It's hysterical,
right?
But I started actually talking to those girls more, and then over that summer when we moved, I still went back and I still had dance camps with them, and I still did things with them and had sleepovers, did all of those fun opportunities with them. And it's because those last few months, I really realized that, okay, I know it may be harder when I move, that I will lose those not every day-to-day conversations, but I still keep up with some of those girls. I still text them, and I still reach out to them and talk to them some. And even though it's different, I think that impacted me so much to when I moved, I started having deeper conversations. It wasn't just, hi, how are you? Maybe it was for the first couple weeks, but then when I realized people that I had a lot of classes with, or that I saw a lot, or that I sat with at lunch, whatever it was, I then started having those deeper conversations to get to know them better and like, okay, well, what does your family look like? where do you go to church? You know, I had those conversations and I had those interactions with people because of when I realized I was moving, I realized I didn't have deep friendships.
Yeah.
And I craved that then. And then that's become a entire part of who I am. Like relationships is literally something that defines me. Like I'm such a relationship girl. I don't like having conversations with people that are so surface level, that are just like, hey, what's up? How's it going? How was your day? Like, yes, those are fine conversations to have, whatever. But I want to go deeper than that if I'm actually going to call this person a friend, a close-knit relationship.
Yeah, these moments have shaped you so much because now, I mean, you were the person that brought the most people to camp. You brought so many friends, and your group was the one that did all the things and had
We
so
were the
much.
hype group.
You were hype. I mean, our group was pretty hype too.
Yeah, y'all were pretty hype.
It was a great group overall.
Yes.
I mean, everybody on that trip was awesome, but we ended up in like multiple different cars, and we talked about each one being the party bus, but you had so many people. So I think that's been such a core thing to even other people can tell that you are so relationship focused because those things have shaped you. And another reason I wanted to talk about how your past is shaping you today is that sometimes the hard moments in life, you can choose how it's shaping you. It may shape you in a good way or a bad way. If you tuned into Brooke's story, if you haven't, please go listen to it. It was so good. One of my favorites. But we say that all the time.
I know.
Like, go check out this one. This
one's my favorite.
It's
this
all our
one's my
favorites.
favorite. Just as we go, they get better. So keep listening.
Keep listening. But so Brooke's story, she had a lot of intense things happen in her lifetime.
And so did Demi, honestly.
Yes, she had some intense things happen too, where she lived in South Africa. So sometimes the culture is different than here. And she had, being Miss Universe, she had a lot of big opportunities that they was good for her, but also it put her in danger in a couple of different situations. And those things were hard for her. And Brooke had a couple of things that she's been through throughout her life that could be causing her a lot of shame. But instead, she's using those moments to lead others to Christ and to say, I know that happened, but it doesn't matter because God has forgiven me. God has redeemed me and made me into a new person. So I can live this moment and just show others how much God loves me. Not even teach them about, oh, well, you should do this and this is how you should live your life. She just shows love to other people. And the same with Demi. She's used these hard times in her life to bring others through that pain. There's so many self-defense things that she had to deal with. And she now leads other girls in situations when they've gone through hard things. There's so many different ways that she's impacting people from her hardship. So I know we both went through the hardship of losing our grandfather, and you were sharing a story with me the other day about how your perspective has to change with something that happened. So do you want to share that?
Yeah, so something that Demi talks about in the book, and I think we might have mentioned this in another episode, was that some of the things that you might view as setbacks or that the world views as setbacks can then be your stepping stones in life. So that can create something in you to then push forward. And so I remember the summer before we lost our grandfather and the summer before he died, we spent a lot of time with them. We did a lot of events with them, a lot of new things. We tried so many things. And there were many weeks. And like, we had called our parents one week and they were like, do you want to stay longer? And we were like, yeah, we'll stay longer with them. So we had those great moments. And those are some of my biggest memories of who he was in that summer. And I know we spent so much time with them. And then he passed away. So this summer, we've spent a lot of time with our grandparents, or we've spent and recently just even on breaks and going to beach trips with family members with specific grandparents, like with our Nana, with our mama, and with all of these people in our life. And we've spent so much time with them that then in my brain, I thought, okay, then one of them is going to die soon. And it's just because I've experienced that before that even though I didn't realize that he was going to die when I was having all of those experiences with him, then I realized it now that did happen, and that happened for a reason, so that we could have more memories with him and we could have more great experiences and really learn from his life more. So that is a thought that I've had, that okay, now I'm afraid because I don't want to lose any of them, because all of my grandparents are so special to me and I love all of them so much and I don't want to lose them. And so then I was talking to our parents and I was talking to Dad and everything, and they said, instead of fearing that you're going to lose them, then make the most of every moment with them, because it's true. I don't know when they're going to die. They could die soon. Like anybody could. I could, whatever it is. Like we were talking about in our last episode, you have to just live in the moment with them. And I have to make the most of every interaction with them. And that has changed the way that I've spent time with them. I've spent less time on my phone. And then like I'll catch myself texting one of my friends or just trying to whatever, look at stuff on my phone, play a game, whatever it is. Then I'll have to just put that down and I'll have to just be in a conversation with them. And I want to get to know them better and get to know things about their life. And I want to have fun conversations with them, have time to laugh with them. And all of that came from a fear that I turned into a great experience for me now.
Right. I think even though the fear may be irrational, that just because we spent so much time with Poppy the summer before he died doesn't mean that when we spend time with other people, they're going to die.
Right.
But it was such a blessing that we realized we had so much time with him before that we realized maybe that was God's way of preparing us for that. So I totally understand the irrational fear that if you're spending so much time with someone, whether it's a grandparent or somebody else in our family or whatever, it's a fear that, okay, well, what if this happens or what if this happens? But if we can't control that, we couldn't control when Poppy was going to die. It's not like we would have lived that much differently. We lived in the moment that summer as much as we possibly could. So I think it's so healthy the way that you're dealing with it, is that instead of leaning into that fear and saying, okay, well, I'm just going to be scared that this is going to happen next, leaning into that fear and instead saying, okay, I am going to take this day and spend as much time, make the most of my moment with every person I interact with. Like no matter who it is, you don't know what's going to happen to anybody in your life. So it's so important with every person you're with, just be intentional. And like you said, you catch yourself on your phone, you've got to just stop and realize this is my moment with this person.
Yeah.
I'm going to be grateful for the time that I have with them.
Yeah. And I mean, like living today, that was all what we talked about last week.
Right.
But the reason that this relates to this episode is the fact that, I mean, that's a past event that happened.
Yeah.
Now I'm letting that reshape the way that I approach things now.
Yeah.
That's like I'm letting those past experiences shape who I am today and
in a
shape
healthy way.
what I do. Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not looking at it like, oh, they're going to die soon. What am I going to do?
Yeah. Well, and you're aware of it. It's
Right.
such a good thing that if you are scared of something, if there's a big fear in your life, take the time to realize, where is this coming from?
Yeah.
Because then you can realize, okay, well, this is wrong. This is the truth. And spend time in scripture trying to figure out how to deal with things. But one verse that I wanted to read was Romans 8:28. God causes all things to work together for the good to those who love God, to those who are called according to his purpose. You don't have to have all good moments in your story. You don't have to be growing up as a pastor's kid. Trust me, sometimes it's not the best. You don't win a single youth game ever.
Literally.
But like, you don't have to have that. You don't have to be growing up in this one specific family. You don't have to have these number of Bible knowledge things about, I don't know. You don't have to have so much of this, or you don't have to have good moments with everybody. You may have lost somebody you love. You may have gone through having divorced parents. You may have, I don't know, losing a friend that you've loved. Maybe you've had just a struggle with a relationship or something going on. You don't have to have all of those moments be perfect in your life to shape into a good story. You can take those hard things and give them to God, and he will work it all out according to his good, for those of us that do love him.
Yes, this is such a great concept, and I love it. It is something that definitely Demi talks about a lot, and she expounds on it more. So
Yeah.
I would recommend to go buy this book as well and read it on your own time. But
Yes.
it is such a great reminder for us to take all of those past experiences and let them become who you are today, but be healthy in it.
Yeah.
And make that shape your identity and make those experiences what makes you you.
Yes. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. We will be back next week for a great conversation.